Hello there, everybody. Marguerita here for the Authentic Podcast, and I'm very excited to have the beautiful Mandy Horton with me today. We're going to have an incredible conversation because Mandy is a new earth leader who walks on the leading edge of healing in the 21st century. Ascension way shower, light and energy intuitive, multidimensional communicator, ambassador, and member of the Council of Many, spiritual and life development educator, cellular memory practitioner, member of and ambassador for the Healing Masters Collective, the Channel Through Mandy, channeler of the great ones of the great oneness. Mandy is the author of Simple Harmony and creator of the Inner Harmony Method, creator and presenter at Center of Connection, TONE, Temple of New Earth Gatherings, host of Intimate Conversations and Shoot the Breeze, and international speaker. That is quite the bio there, my dear Mandy. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so excited to have you on the Authentic Podcast. How are you this fine and wonderful day?
Oh, well, thank you so much for inviting me. And I love connecting with you and having these chats. It's very real and sometimes quite raw, and it's good. But I'm fantastic. Thank you.
Okay. So firstly, I just want to open up with a question. What does authenticity mean to you?
Means to me living in my own truth. Like my truth might not be your truth. But I feel that I know for myself when I come out of integrity with myself that there is me not living in my authenticity. It's completely honoring self and living life in accordance to how it fits for you and your truth, whatever that may be. And if you're feeling for me, like I say, when I come offline, in a sense, I can feel that in my body. My body tells me when I'm not being honest with myself in respect to what I might be doing, or the answer I might have given to somebody saying yes instead of no when I really want to say no, things like that. It's just absolutely living in your own truth.
What do you mean the
And
body tells you? What do you notice?
the body tells me so there's a couple of different things that happen for me. One is sometimes it heats up. I get this hot rush and I go, ooh, it's like, yeah, I can feel that. The other is that I get this sort of almost like a flipping, when you've told a lie.
Yes.
Yeah, that feeling. There's sort of like your stomach flips a bit,
Yeah.
and it's like, ooh, it's that, but you haven't actually recognized you've said that this is a lie to you. It's like telling yourself that you're a multi-millionaire when really there's $10 in your bank account. That you're lying to yourself. That's not your truth. So it's that feeling. It's the body will always indicate. It'll always give you the truth. Mm.
And we live in a world that is just, it's so fake, and it's almost, until recently, it's becoming easier and easier now to tell the fake from what's real.
Yeah.
And it's like everything's being revealed, like the veil is being pulled off. The little man behind the curtain is being exposed.
Yes.
And we're starting to see basically the collapse of these false constructs that we have been drawn into and just lived our lives by. We just went along and went, oh, this is life and this is how life is. And then all of a sudden the curtain starts to get drawn back. It can be very confronting and very discombobulating
Yeah.
and unsettling for people to kind of realize that, wait a minute, all this stuff that I believed in, what's real? What is real? What is truth? What is authentic? And who am I as my authentic self? So through the work that you do, because it's a lot,
Yeah.
and your connection to spirit and source, what do you feel are the things that people can do to really connect with their authentic selves and their authentic power to live and be their most powerful selves in this life, coming from a place of authenticity?
Right. I love that because The first thing I would say is know thyself. Where have you heard that before? But it is know thyself. And I know for me, being an aware, awakened child, like from birth, I knew why I was here. I knew what I'd come into this lifetime to play out, really, and to honor within myself in the sense of my own soul journey here. And so there for me, I didn't have any question around that. I just was impatient waiting until I could actually do that, step into it. But there was all my childhood and all the younger years that I needed to go through to also get to know myself more and understand the parts of me, because we came in here to almost play out the opposite of what we can when we're not in form. So we've come into experience, and this is the thing where we've got so caught up in how the system is, and it is a system. There's a way that we've been trained to live here on the planet, and what we're now recognizing is that that doesn't fit us all. And I knew right from very young that there was a lot that was going on around me that did not fit me, but we were forced into it. I had to go to school. Soon as I could get out of there at 15, I was out. It was like, this is not me. This is not what I need at all. It might teach me how to count, how to put words together and all of that. But other than that, there was, for me, it felt like underlying energy that was feeding into that was not where I needed any of it. I didn't want it. I didn't want to be caught in that way. And I didn't really understand that at the time. I just knew what my body was telling me, what all of my sensing was telling me. So I got out at 15 and I started trying to find my way into the service work that I do, which I knew was my life purpose here, which might sound woo-woo to people because it's all about the mission and the purpose, and we've got this, knowing. Everyone says, I know I'm coming to do something. I've got a purpose. I don't know what it is. Your purpose, simply and really simply, is know thyself. It's the very first thing that needs to happen within everyone. And needs isn't quite the word. I always put these words in the old language, but it's really required for us to do that, so that when we really understand ourselves as energetic frequency, and that we are here experiencing, and we're choosing this as an experience. We've come in to choose this as an experience. And that with that, what we've got and tied up into that is all these different stories, and we might even look at the Bible and we say, well, I've been saying this is a storybook that's been put together, yes. And we could definitely say it's been written by man, because how else has it been written, but only by man. And so each person on the planet has their own conscious reality, their own very own conscious reality. And everything that's been written, I would say, into the book is somebody else's perception of that conscious reality, right? So there's a story that's been formulated within those pages that we could say, and has been programmed really within us, to see that we're actually living out that book. We've been living it out. I could say to you right now, we're in Revelations, we're in the final days, and it's an Armageddon, and there's all this thing, Well, yes, we can see that, and we can identify that and put that out there and go, yep, I can see that's exactly what's happening. But my question is that what we've actually been come in here to do, or is that something we've been programmed and led to because it's written in the book? And the story...
Not quite getting you.
So the overall program of that, was that actually something that was loaded down through from this consciousness, this great consciousness we call God, or for me it's Creator, and was that something that was put there in place for us to be guided through with, or was it put there in place by someone else to create a way that we move through this, which has got some good bits to it. But you know what, if you for me, is it, where did that story come from? Like
So
actually.
is it like, what I'm understanding is, correct me if I'm wrong, you're kind of questioning, is it a predetermined path or is
Yes.
it one that we are creating as we go?
Right. And we would say that this is a predetermined past because it's been written in the book. So somebody's prophesying this into play, right? So if
What
we
about
look at,
what about our role in this?
yeah,
So I tend to think that that there are, multiple possibilities and all this kind of thing, multiple paths. Certain things seem to just be, yes, like destiny. It's kind of like, oh yes, well that was destiny. But then again, how does that I don't know how you think about this. How does that weave into this whole, we are the co-creator of our reality and our experience, and we are co-creating the holographic projection and all that kind of stuff. So how does that kind of work together for you in your understanding?
yeah, that's where I question, you see, because for me, I fully, totally believe that we are our own empowered creator being
Mm.
and that we are here absolutely creating the moment that we're here into being, right? And so when I see something like, say, that book, it's determining our steps. So therefore, it says that we have a predetermined destination.
Mm.
And for me, I question that. I go, but who says this? Right? Because I'm always that girl that goes beyond that and looks into where did that actually come from? Who actually says that? Is that good information and is it coming from the right place? Or is it actually really, as we know here as human being, we've put word together, we've got memory, we've had experience, and that creates memory. And so therefore we go into storytelling.
Mm.
And therefore, how much are we now uncovering that has been programmed and we've been going along with, and then coming to the realization now that, hang on a minute, I was led down that path by this program, right? So I feel this here could be another one of those things. And I've been saying for a long time now, it's time to step out of the book because we're still running it as though we're in the book and the
Okay.
bigger picture of things, right? And
So
so,
you mean we're still running it? Sorry, I'm trying to get my head around it. So
sorry,
you mean, no, don't be sorry. I'm sort of processing what you're saying as you're
yeah,
going, and it's very deep conceptually. So I'm kind of trying to figure
yeah,
out and get my head around it. Um, so I what you're saying is that we need to step out of the book, as in unplug from the matrix. Is that what I'm hearing? As in understand our role in writing the chapters in our determining our own destiny. Is that what you mean?
exactly. And
You mean
recognizing
collectively or individually or both?
both.
Okay.
But when you, so when you get to know thyself, when you really know who you are energetically, vibrationally, know that you're a soul being, you're a spirit being, you've got this physical form as well. In the time when I was growing into all of me, right, and putting myself together, finding out all the avenues that I am, I work a lot in light, with light, right? So I knew that we're light beings, and I know that if we go past this form, then where do we go? Where does that go? So I step out into other realms, and I've been shown different places, right? But this, for me, when I in bringing myself into more awareness around who I am, what I am, more about what I am, then I had initiations that came in that created me holding immense force of energy. And so it started building, and the energy was really quite intense, huge. Like, if anybody remembers the old Highlander movies, I don't know if you've ever seen those.
Oh, I saw them years ago.
Years and years ago, and when he chops the head off, there's that quickening. He gets all the energy from that being, and he takes on that quickening. Well, that
I've
quickening is
forgotten
what
it.
I'm talking about. That, and it has
We
been
don't have to shop heads off beings, though, just so
no,
you'll know.
No, we're not
Not
talking about
wandering
you.
around with swords chopping heads off beings. Thank you very much.
No. But that quickening, so this power of energy that came through, and I feel like people are moving away from the word power as well, because it's been tainted now with that, that those who have been, people will term it as being in control of us here, which for me, I don't feel that at all. That's a whole different story. But
You don't
when
feel like we've been manipulated
I
into
we
a
have,
bit of
because we forgot.
compliance and control?
We forgot who we were, that's all. We allowed too much to happen because
Yeah.
we forgot who we were. And
Yeah.
that's why it's important to remember who we are. And so, and what we are actually. So in that, when I was having these initiations, the power grew more and more and more. And yes, it was coming in for me and out again, and it had purpose to it. One of the times was down at the Four Winds Temple site here. There's a site here that has been a very sacred site for Māori and in New Zealand, and it's where they trained tohunga, which were like the shaman or spiritual person of that tribe, or iwi, or blessed with, because it's, you're born with it apparently. Now for me, it's everyone has this, but in time, over time, it was learned. But this was where they would teach to be able to connect to their star walk as well, recognizing that we come from the stars. Basically, we're here, we're experiencing this form, and what can we do with this, and who are we in it, right? And so there was a training. It was a training ground, and there was a wharis, the Māori house that was built in a cross. So there was 4 doors to it. And so it was called the Four Winds, which was the 4 directions.
Okay.
And there's more to that. There's a big, like beautiful story in it. Anyway, I went on to the site in a gathering, expecting not to have any of this happen. But there was a feeling for me of anticipation when I was driving down to this place, which was a few hours' drive from me. And I could feel this energy building up, had no idea what was going to be happening. But what happened was we were walking around the property, and where that whare was, that cross house, it had been burnt down, and vandals had got in, burnt it down. This is very old building, and it was burnt. So they've, where it was on the property, they've made a little trench type cross, big, and we were walking towards it, and I went, oh my God, that's where the temple was. And next minute, before I knew it, I was standing in the center of the cross. How I got there, I still don't know. I must have levitated or whatever. There were 2 people with me at the time, and there were also 3 other girls that had walked along with us. They just clicked to me as soon as I entered the property. They just sidelined. It was like, wow. And were asking me all these questions about myself. Anyway, they came for the walk with us. And
So they were
next
really
thing,
there.
they were already there, yes.
Okay.
And then when these 2 men said to me, Mandy, come and we'll take you around the property and show you the temple site and everything, these 3 girls just sort of, moved on with me and came with us. So we were all walking together. And then next minute I'm in the center. I didn't know that I was in the center of the cross. All I knew was this energy was just powering through me. My arms were out in a cross, and this energy was just like that quickening. It was just absolutely intense. And when I looked above, I followed it up, it was coming from the highest of high. I couldn't see where it was coming from. It was just the highest of heavens. And then when I followed this energy through me and down into the ground, it was going into the land underneath. And underneath this property is around 7 different lake in underneath, so the waterways that are in underneath the property, and this was going down into those. And I was being shown how this water was going to start spread. It was going to go through our whole island. And I don't know how long that lasted for, but it was for quite a while. Like, it wasn't just a couple of seconds. It was probably about 10 minutes. And when I stopped and when this sort of eased off and I could actually get my bearings about where I was, here I was standing in the center of the cross. And these three girls were positioned on the top two side and the top point, which made this triangle.
Right.
And we're all sort of, I look around and these girls are standing there like in shock. I didn't ask anyone how I got there, if the boys had seen. But when I turned around to where the men were, who were guiding me over, they were just standing there with big saucer eyes, like staring at, and nobody said what on earth was going on. But when I asked, what is this that was coming through me, I heard New Earth energy, New Earth.
Okay.
And I realized that what was happening was I was anchoring in the codes of the New Earth for New Zealand into this land here. Then it
Okay.
was
Explain that a bit more to me. New Earth codes for
New
the.
Earth codes. So I'll just finish this bit here, park that up for a sec. So then I also recognized that it was going to be laid out again somewhere else in the Northern Hemisphere. And it just so happened I was on calls that were a regular meeting call with groups around the world. And there was a huge collective I was in a group with from Norway, Sweden. And this day we were going on to our call, and two of the girls, they were twins, living on just on the border of Sweden or Norway, somewhere in around there. Anyway, they were directed to go up the mountain this day to take this call. And I would guide them with Papatuanuku, our Earth Mother here, and take them through, and she would take them on journeys around the planet and show them where they needed to maybe give some energy or whatever might happen. So that was our call. Anyway, these girls were up the mountain and they said we were guided, we had to come up here today and take this call. And we go, oh, yeah, you know. And next minute, there's just this thing that happened, right? And they just were going into this whole thing started. And when they finished, they were saying about how, so they went into this channel basically. And they were saying about they could see all these Māori people with their cloaks on, and they could hear the chanting and the sounds and all the things. And next minute, this was like months later after this experience I'd had. And then next minute I clicked. It was like hearing, seeing back at the temple site, and I explained to them afterwards what I'd experienced, and I said, and I do believe you've just anchored it now into the Northern Hemisphere.
Oh,
And
wow.
every one of us on the call got goosebumps. Some of them burst into tears. They were going, oh my God, I can get that, can really feel the truth in it. So that's what happened there. So if you think about us being energy vibration, right, we are a supreme, like absolutely superior computer system technology. We are that. And when you really get to know that, and I've learned a lot through healing table work, energetic healing table work with clients over the years, and reading into their field, and their field showing me different spaces and stages of their growth and their holographic projection that they have. So we're a holographic field, and so this there's it's like light codes. So when we anchor more of that sunlight, the light, universal light, into this form, what it does is it has to clear out the cellular memory first, because your cellular memory is what keeps creating your emotional programs and illness, disease, imbalance, trauma, wounding, all the stuff. And this light fusion within your biology will shift your cellular, and it'll bring up all the stuff, right? So that's what's happening on a global now, is because more light coding is coming into the form, and more of us are releasing and witnessing within our body a release within of the memories and the emotional states of our old wounding. And we need to clear that out. So when we clear those cells out, first thing that happens is when we do clear a memory and the emotion connected to them in the cellular, what we do is we then, those dead cells, because that's creating dead cell, they die. There's communication, that like blocks the communication, the cell dies, and it throws the memory into the next cell in the same process. Blood sends out a chemical, which shuts down receptors, and away it goes. So that process there, what happens when you deal with that is that those dead cells get flushed out of the body through the lymphatic system. And then what happens is you have new cells growing. So you're renewing your body. You're actually renewing it. And so the more you can do that, which is what I've been doing all my life with people, is helping them through those sorts of things as a cellular memory practitioner and working on my own body all the time like that. Repaired 2 broken toes, smashed toes, by using that process, by going into the conversation and the rant I was having in my head when I broke them, and then repairing that conversation, those emotional programs within myself that related to all of that, and then went into the toes and actually worked on bringing all those bone pieces back into completion and bringing them together again, which repaired obviously my toes. My foot went down, was all swollen and blue and black and all the rest of it. And it went down, only had a bit of bruising left. But people saw that it was only a 20-minute process, but over 12 hours I had broken my foot, and then 12 hours later it was repaired. And my students, my development class students, saw broken, repaired the next day. And they were like, what the hell? But, saying, this is what you teach us. Well, here we go. This is an example of how we
So
can.
everybody has this capability?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And do you teach this ability to people? You teach them how to do this? Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's incredible what we can do.
Yeah.
And when
before you move on, I'm just curious, you're saying that, we've got lots of light codes that are coming into the planet right now and that we're being upgraded and all the rest of us. Do we, does that only happen if we invite it in and we guide it to happen and we do the processes? Is it happening automatically? Is some of it happening automatically and some of it we have to actually be conscious of?
It's happening to everyone, but not everyone understands it, of course. And what is also, for me, when I'm looking on this as a theme around the place, is that a lot of people are coming into awakening within themselves a lot of their own ability and gifts, right? So your clairvoyance might click in, your clairaudience, your sensing really becomes, pretty on par. Your intuition heightens in many ways, and different things are happening, knowing that the phone's going to ring and yes, it's the person I thought was ringing, so more of those heightened are really becoming more heightened, and a lot of people are becoming fearful of that and absolutely afraid, like really afraid, and trying to shut
We
all
don't
that
understand
down.
it. We're afraid
They
of what we
don't
don't understand. It. Yeah.
And what I'm seeing out there now is that, what I'm not seeing is development classes going right back to the basics, that I used to teach years and years ago and have stepped away from. But it's like I'm seeing this and people are going, I don't know what to do with this, it's come in and I just don't know what to do with it. So I'm considering now, starting development classes again. And oh my God, I'm like, oh my gosh. But anyway.
What if you just go with the flow? What if they just experience it and go, I don't understand what this is, but I'm choosing to embrace it and embody it and just allow it and lean into it even.
Yes.
And just see where it takes me.
Yeah, some do, but some have such fast awakenings that it creates a bit of a mental imbalance, and a lot of them are going mental ward,
oh, wow, that's
medication stuff, all that sort of thing.
Okay,
So
that's not cool.
No. So there's a lot that's sort of going on in that sort of sense around the place that that I feel, can be helped or aided if people wanted to. So I've forgotten where we were heading with all that, but the codes, so light is transforming. When we allow more light into the body and the cellular work gets done, you're taking on a higher light quotient in the form, and the form is ascending into a higher frequency. by clearing those things out. Those memories and the wounding keeps us in a dense frequency, because they're often dense emotion, sadness, guilt, shame, all the things, and hatred even sometimes, all that sort of thing. And so when we move out of those, we start moving into the higher aspects of love, which is joy and gratitude and, all the unity and, so much is sort of moving more into that space now within a lot of people. And you can feel this new frequency coming in, which is now this divine feminine. And this is our Earth Mother bringing this in. She's really opening up and allowing us now to, not allowing us, we're moving together with her. When we do something within our form, it helps her in her form as well. And a lot of what we're holding within our form, which is her form, really, same elements, is that they're often connected into, the threads of earth. So it's helping to move her body as well and heal. So when we move those woundings, what we do is we also are unplugging from that system, because a lot of those have been created in the time of that system. And when we start unplugging ourselves from that and knowing thyself a lot clearer, and knowing that we actually create everything that is in our world. So everything that is in your world, you have created into form. You have created that. So therefore, it's what's happening now. And we talk about the Great Awakening. And I believe the Great Awakening is not that we are getting to know ourselves, because I feel like that's been a journey that everyone's been on in some way, shape, or form in their lifetime here. So for me, it's more about the awakening is that we were co-creating together, and look what we've co-created. So we were co-creating by default. We were actually always been co-creating together, but we haven't realized that. And now we realize, we're seeing that every single person's conscious reality is now created into form. And if you look at everything, there's so many different angles on every single thing. If we even look at the Bible, if we look at religion, if we look at, space walk and talk, and there's so many different angles that everybody has a different view of it in a different way. It might be similar, but there's so many different things that are showing up, because everyone's now realizing they are creating, well, not so much everyone's realizing, but there's this creation into form. It's almost like we've overloaded the overloaded the system.
Yeah.
Almost.
So in relation to that, because my thing has always been, I sort of say that everything's perception, everything's a story. And we're all interpreting it through our own filters, our own belief systems, and what we see is not necessarily what somebody else sees. And this is where we get into a lot of the division that has kind of been accentuated and
fighting over.
Yeah, and it's been they've really taken those who have been creating these systems to manipulate us and control us and all the rest. They've really taken advantage of this disparate view that we have. I see one thing and somebody else sees something completely different, and then goes, how do you even see that? That's just not reality. That's just like a delusion. And I'm looking at the same person thinking the same thing, like, what?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
So how do you have processes or things that you show people and teach people and ways to help them to discover their authentic selves, to know themselves internally and to be able to access their power?
Yeah, for sure. One of the things that I definitely do. I mean, I've set up a lot of workshops, done a lot of development classes, and so teach about energy. I used to put like in the development classes, when we're working with energy, I would structure energetically something into the middle of the room, and you wouldn't see it looking out into the room. You would think there was nothing there, but if you actually walk through it, you would probably feel it. Because when I had finished structuring something, it might be a shape, and then there might be something, I might put something else in the middle of the shape. And then what I'd get is my students to go up and feel it and sense it and work out what shape this was. What does it feel like to you? And that there started, it gives them the idea of how tangible energy can be.
Mm.
And so when you start really getting to know energy and know yourself as energetic, then you start, you can see how, you can just see how things are formed. You can see how everything connects in its own way, and how energy is really important to understand, I feel. I really do. And that's what I mean by know thyself, because for me, in getting to know who I am, I recognize that, yes, my bloodlines, we go down those trips, but I also recognize that I was off planet. We're not from Earth. So where did we come from? Where have we been, and where did we come from? So I was always in those questioning, down those rabbit holes. And so was taken out to be shown where I come from, which was Arcturian. So I'm an Arcturian being, which has, besides that, I go through before then. So yes, I might have experienced being Arcturian and have all these abilities, which I was seeing coming through on the healing table with people. And a lot of the energetic work that I've done in the bodies of people is through my Arcturian technology, which is a lot of laser work and stuff, and all sorts, removing negative alien implants, all sorts of different things. But I also have my Māori blood, which then also incorporates into my healing work, which I can see where we've been, families might have had curses on them from old tōhungas way back, or whatever the thing. It's all those sorts of things. But going past my Arcturian self, I recognize, and that's what I wanted to do, was one day get to source. Because we go into meditation. Meditation is a great way to start, like, honestly, and I was really balking at it because it's fashion. I'm not into fashion. And so everyone was doing, do meditation. And then I did. And honestly, it was almost like quick steps. My guidance and everyone were throwing in everything. So keep me in there so I'd stay there and keep doing meditation. But what happened for me in there was I eventually got to the point where I actually reached source, and it's almost, when you move into that space, your body is barely functioning, like there's barely a breath in the body. You really are preserving your body in that sense. And so going there often and being in that space, experiencing the quantum field of oneness, which is no story. And so we can look through all of the stuff that's happening here, and we can look at all the stories that are being played out and all the stories we get told, and the book being one. But when you come out of that and you recognize that those stories are man-made, they're all somebody's perception, they're all somebody telling a story from what they feel is the thing. And why there's so many different angles on it all, like there's not even supposed to have been a crucifixion and a Christ on the planet. There was just an astrological alignment. So it's like, well, okay, who knows, really? We've had so much information that's been fake that we don't know what is truth anymore. And the only thing that I know that is true for me is that I am a highly spiritual, evolved being. That's what I know. And I know that I've come into this form to experience that here. And we've got caught up in all the emotional stories around every experience we've had, that keeps us less than. It keeps us taking us back into the human perception. So in moving myself through more and more awareness of who I am, I went to Nucleus. And Nucleus was where I really, like, when I came back into my body, it was a healing evening at my house, and there was about 15 people, 3 tables up. And I got on the table knowing there was going to be a teaching. I didn't quite know what was going to happen, but I knew I was going to be teaching. What happens is my arms go out into a cross position and my heart just blew open. So that initiation going in down to the temple, well, that there was allowing me to see how much I can hold, like how much power we can actually hold in our body and through our body. It's incredible. And so in this state, what happened was the initiation into that on the table actually came from not outside of me, through me, out again. It actually burst out from in me. So it just switched over, and it came from within me out. I was now my own universal source. And so that's what happens when we move ourselves through into the higher frequencies of our own being. This form takes on higher consciousness, yes, and we start actually, well, the body starts repairing. And that's what I know mine's doing right now. It's starting to really repair. And so that there is where we're going to start aging back again. We're going to, move back in our youth.
We're going to reverse age. Oh my God, I'm loving that.
Reverse aging. Absolutely, we will. Every part of your body is going to be heightened in repair, and you will have your superhuman abilities. I already quantum leap and I shift time and I do that stuff, but I'd really like to actually physically teleport from here to there in a second, and without paying for gas and putting it in my car and driving a few hours, just teleport, because we can do all that. But anyway, we'll get there.
So how far do you think that kind of thing is away from where we are right now?
I tell you what, I am witnessing this going really quickly now. Like, I believe we're coming to a point, we've done a bit of the timeline jumping. It's sort of hard to explain what that means in a sense too, but it's quite simply like that, timeline jumping. So when we move, we might be here at this point and we have a plan of something and we're going to be moving down that plan there to get to here. It's like we've come to a point where we don't have to experience all this here, so we're just leaping into that part there and carrying on. So it's cutting out a whole lot of stuff that we don't really need to experience anymore because it's just not necessary.
Because of this acceleration.
Everything, yeah. And so this acceleration that we're in now, I believe we're coming to a point, we're always leaping, we're always jumping and improving and bringing this into a higher space all the time, every day, every breath now. It's just moving so fast. And there's a big talk about the event. I haven't been able to see that. I think we're going to have something that is going to happen. There's talk about the ETs or the UFOs that are coming in, and those are our star brothers and sisters. It's the clans that we are anyway that are coming in, and they're saying that they're coming in to make arrests and to help with the planet and all the rest of it. But for me, that's not what I believe. I don't believe we're going to be
rescued. It's also hard to know if that's going to be a construct and a story that is created as part of the narrative that they want us to believe, or if it's really real, because it's so hard to know what's real.
Exactly.
I just want to, in relation to all of this, and obviously the last 5 years in particular, so we've been on a journey and it's obviously been accelerating, and then all of a sudden 2020 happened and like the shit just hit the fan.
Yep.
And even those of us who were on an awakened or awakening path kind of went, WTF, we didn't expect that. I mean, I was so naive. I believed that consciousness was expanding and that, everybody was moving into a higher state of consciousness, and there was going to be love, light, and rainbows and unicorns, and that one day we'd all wake up and we'd all be awake and the world would be different. And, like my little Pollyanna story that I created for myself. And all of a sudden 2020 happened. It was like, wait, what? And then I spent the next few months going, it'll be over soon. It'll be over soon. Everybody will wake up and it'll be over soon. And then 2024, December 2024, kind of like, yeah, there's been a bit of an awakening, but it's like, come on, people, where are you? Surely the lights are going on by now with all this stuff and all this fakery and all this, I could go on for forever.
Yeah.
But so how do you see that? How do you process that? Because I'm impatient. I'm like, can we just get it done already? Like,
I know that it was a pretty wild time. It was
oh
a
my
pretty wild
God.
time. And it
It
was,
still is.
it is still, but I see.
So many people, I'm sorry, so many people are so traumatized because they have their perception of reality and I have my perception of reality. And so many people perceive what's going down as catastrophic. They see what's happening in the United States and they go, oh my God, the world is imploding and we're all doomed. And there are those who say, wait a minute, this is all good. This is for the good of humanity, blah, 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 blah. It's just like, it's like we're seeing things from completely different perspectives. How do you see this unfolding? Do you see us all on separate timelines, separate paths? Do we come together at any point in time? Like, it's a big question, but
It is. See, what I feel is that, how we travel through over your life, I'm sure you could recognize that you had shit bits, eh?
oh
That,
yeah,
that were
lots of
really,
those.
yeah, exactly. Me too. And that were really difficult at the time to get through, but you got through and you learned something, right? And there was always some part of yourself that you understood, something else about yourself that you now understand that I didn't before that. And I get that now, So all of those bits that we went through created us into being and waking us up to us.
Mm.
And this stuff here over that last 4 or 5 years has been exactly that thing. But what quite often happens in there is that we get caught up in the battle of it, really. So we see injustice and we want to set it right, okay? But for me, it's about recognizing, because when you really know yourself, you know that you're a creator being. So as I was saying about we in the awakening, I feel that it's about recognizing now that we all co-created that. We all co-created it. And so that woke everyone up to, holy shit, what is going on? Oh my God. And so many things were uncovered and unfolding and showed us that we had an actual blindfold on, that we've been, really in an illusion of I thought it was this way, but actually it's actually like that. Oh my God. So there is this, and there's an actual really deep grief that's going on here because of all of that, because of our past, because of all the stuff we've been through and the wounding and the horrific stuff that's been generated in that from beings who have slipped so far away from who they are that they have now created and imprisoned others. That's what's happening. But when we wake up, and in my sense of this is the Great Awakening, is that waking up to we created this and co-created it. Now we have a choice. If we don't like that we've created, what is it you wish to create now then? So therefore the choices and the great awakening is that we were co-creating, and we are that co-creating together. So what do we want to do? And the other is recognizing that we actually have choice. We can play along with that and be fully in it and bodied in it and continue in the shit, because really that's what it is. It's just a big mud hole. And therefore we can either, if we don't want to be there, we can now move our projection and trajectory and move forward in a different way. And
how do you suggest people do that? Because that's kind of like, it sounds great, but it's like, yeah, but I'm stuck in the middle of this mud hole and I
right,
don't know how to get out.
yep,
And you're telling me that I'm creating my reality. I don't like my reality. Why the
no,
hell would I create this reality? This is a shit show. I hate my life. Not everybody's there,
no,
but there are a lot of people who are going, what, you're telling me that all this shit that happened to me, I created? Like, people probably going, F you, Mandy. I don't want to take responsibility
I
for
know,
shit.
me too.
So how do you empower people to stand in that place of responsibility, look at what they've created going, crap, and own it, but then move forward from it. What can they do to start to create their life by design instead of by default, and get out of this? Plus, when you think about a lot of what has been imposed on us,
Yeah.
and yes, I agree with you to a certain extent that some of what has been imposed on us is kind of like prodding us to kind of like, come on, baby, come on, you. I know you're in there somewhere. Come on, wake up, realize who you truly are.
Mm.
So
And,
how do
and it's,
people take that and move forward?
it's that thing there, that prodding, come on, is how much are you willing to take?
Mm.
And aren't you tired of taking that? Like, we're all tired of taking that. We've been living in that era and that way for eons of time, lifetimes. And I knew when I came in this lifetime, I was so tired of it. I was not going to do this again. So the way that we can move ourselves out of that is that we have to, and I do say have to because the only way you're going to get through this is by going into. And I know when I realized about being that we are these creative beings, and when I really woke up to that and reminded myself of that, it was this huge like that. You know, why did I want to be raped and bashed and all these horrible things that have happened to me? Well, that's because my emotional program and my memory program was of those sorts of abuses in the past. And so that was deeply embedded in my program within my cellular memory. And that was what was creating the frequency of more of that being attracted to me.
Mm.
So for us to disconnect, like I have with that system, and by the way, before I go any further, I just want to say that this system and what's playing out here is still there because people need it. It's going to be there as long as people need it. So
You
it's
mean they need it because they're not at the stage of evolution to get beyond it yet?
that's right. But also there's it's the same stuff as like all the shite we went through. We had to go through that to learn something, right?
Mm.
We're going to get to a point where we don't have to create all that sort of thing to learn from. We're coming out of that, and I know I certainly have. I don't create all the shite that I used to create back there because I don't have the same emotional pattern running anymore. But that's that, right? So for me to unplug from this here, I needed to actually work on the bully thread that was in me, because the bully thread was the one that was left. And when I recognized the government was being really bullyish,
Mm.
in that time, like majorly. And who did that remind me of? Oh, every other person that's ever been in my life. Not every other, but the main program was being abused by bullies. So this here was where I really needed to look at what threads of me were still connecting into that. That rattled my cage when I saw it happening or felt it happening. So when I've moved myself out of that, right, now I am in a very neutral space. There's not much that rattles my cage at all now because it's not a part of my whole program anymore. But I recognize it being there for others that need it and require it to wake themselves up as we needed it to wake us up.
Mm.
So therefore I can accept that it's there, but I don't have to be a part of it anymore. I'm not a part of it anymore. So therefore my conscious reality is creating more of the blessings and the beauty and the gorgeousness that I have in my life rather than that, which
Yep.
used to really bug me because it was like, I don't want this. Who wants this shit? But
Yeah.
that's what we did. We were just smothered in it. And we can say, yes, they've manipulated, the people in the top seats, whatever we want to call it, they might be manipulating and they're controlling and they're doing all this horrible shite. So when are you going to stop? When are you going to stop empowering them doing that by giving them your energy? Because that's really what it is. Everyone who buys into it puts their energy into it in whatever way they put it in there, whether it's donating money to have people go out there and stop that cause. It's whatever energy you're putting into it, you're empowering it to be there.
Mm.
So when you shift yourself from that and you move yourself into this, I see a world that is waking up, already woken up. I see a world that is becoming really into abundance and thriving. I see a world that is creating families that are building together now and coming together, men standing beside their woman, not leaving them to do everything, but now standing beside them and encouraging them and uffing them, loving them through their thing, holding space for them and their children now, and it's just such a gorgeous thing. I'm watching these men really soften and come into alignment now with women.
Mm.
And that divide that was there before is now not. So that's the world I see. And I see these beautiful things being created into this, what we're calling the new world, because we are now creating a new world. We're creating a new frequency for this world to be brought and birthed into, so that we can live in harmony, live in unity, live in community, because all of that was taken away from us. And we are communal beings. We were isolated in that time because they knew that was something that humans can't deal with that,
Mm.
And so when you're needing to do anything or wanting to do anything, it's do it in community, because it's that everyone will support you and you have that support, which we're used to really. But we've had to separate ourselves, and particularly from man. Most women have had to separate themselves from man. Men's role was to protect woman, land, and children, well, land, woman, and children. And then they were actually the ones that women needed to protect themselves from. They lost their pathway, they lost their purpose, men. And women had to step up, and we got blamed for them losing their purpose because we stepped up, because they
Mm-hmm.
weren't stepping up.
Yeah.
Most of them, a lot of them
Whole
did.
women's empowerment movement.
Yes, and we needed to do that to be able to find us again.
Yes.
Now we can open the door to men again in a different way, because they are also stepping up and wanting our open arms. And it's a beautiful thing. I'm seeing that everywhere. It's
That
lovely.
is a beautiful thing. So
Yeah.
what steps do you suggest people can take? Because there's people who will be getting hope from this interview today. There's people who will be a bit confused by it.
Yes.
And there's people who will go, but what do I do, Mandy? Like, I want what you're saying, and I want to feel empowered, and I want to be the conscious co-creator of my future and design and create my life by design and not have this shit show anymore, leave all this shit behind. What do I do?
What you do is you clear your cellular. The cellular memory is the emotional program that keeps you tied into those things.
And do you have something that you like
Absolutely.
help
Yeah.
people do? So,
Yeah.
is there a program that you have or a process that you share
Yes,
in
it's all
relation?
on my website. There's a cellular memory process, which is 2 hours, and I assist you into the body. We retrieve memory, you work on the emotion of the memory, and we work on as many memories as we can in the 2 hours. And by the time we get through that, I'm seeing your overall pattern, what you've been playing out throughout life. And so we work on that with a neurokinesis hand technique, which is working with left and right hand, left and right brain, and it starts rewiring the neural pathways to those memories, to that whole process. And there is a book. I have got a book, Simple Harmony, which was a downloaded pattern actually that came through me as a download, and it determines where you birth in. It's determined by where you birth in the family, whether you're the firstborn daughter, second daughter, blah, blah, blah. And that will determine what parent you came through and carry the patterns of. And what I was also told when this came through me as a download, it was that the parent you birthed through, so I birthed through my dad. I'm firstborn daughter. So that parent is the one that I chose, and I left it up to him to choose who he was going to choose to be my mother, apparently. That's what I got when it came in, and I was like, don't know about that. I'm just going to park that up over here. The only time that that's really resonated for me was when I've had clients come in who, when I take them through the patterning, they have absolutely no relationship with the other parent, and that parent they try everything to try and have a relationship and it's not working. And when I've said that about that's probably the parent that your person brought in, but it's not actually the one you chose, you don't necessarily probably have to have a relationship. It's like, oh God, thank God for that. So
That could be a relief for a lot of people.
yeah, it has
Yeah.
been. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and what we do with that is that you attract to the opposite parent. So if I birthed through my dad, I attract to me people like my mother and my brother, and that was certainly what I did. I married someone like my brother, and that was my whole patterning. So to release your emotional patterning, which is what keeps you plugged in there, like I was saying about the bully, I needed to work on that bulliness thread of being bullied all my life, through that to disconnect me from the rage I had around our government doing what they were doing and
Mm,
being outrageous bullies. And that actually really freed me.
yeah.
Mm.
Awesome. Okay. So what's your website?
It's Mandy Horton NZ.com.
mandyhortonnz.com. Okay. I will put the link in the description below
Mm-hmm.
them to get in contact with. I know that you also have 2 podcasts.
Yes.
So I will put the link to those in the description. What are the 2 podcasts that you do?
Intimate conversations where we honour the pioneers that have been holding this light and vibration and love for the planet for many, many years, working hard at getting people to wake up and putting in their energy. And so it's honouring them, intimate conversation. And then there's Shoot the Breeze, where we talk about a topic. It's a topical chat show where we pick up something, and that's actually come into showing me, it's been interesting. I didn't really get why I was getting this to put forward, and what's showing up is that it's actually highlighting the newness that's coming into the new world. So they've ended up being people bringing in new things into this new world. So it's been interesting.
All right, so we're going to wrap it up here, but before we wrap up the authentic podcast, what do you see authentically in the future of humanity? Because it seems, depending on your view and how you perceive things, it seems like it's all just like the whole world's exploding right now.
Yeah, yeah. There's definitely an overload of fake information, and what we really need to do is pay attention to the body. Like I was saying in the beginning, the body tells us what we're really feeling. Our mind might tell off a story and carry on a story here, but this body will indicate deeply what your truth is really. And so it's pay attention to the body, because what you are doing is you're clearing it, whether you know it or not. You're clearing cellular, you're anchoring more of your higher light body in here, and so consciousness is going to shift, belief systems are going to shift. So there's a lot that's dropping away. I've been saying to people recently, the information for me was coming through is that we're to look at each relationship we're in and actually look at who we are playing out in that relationship, and then look at the next person and the next one, and actually really microscopically look at how you play them out. Who are you in those relationships? And whether there's parts of you that don't have to play in that relationship like that any longer. And so there's big parts of us that are moving on. And that's why, again, there's a huge amount of grief on the planet, because for one, there's a lot of people leaving, a lot that have decided that they're not going to stick it out. They were going to, but they're not now, and they're leaving. Many that came in like ourselves to be here for this time and to actually create an awakening here, and a realization of who we really are. And a lot of those people too have decided, no, I'm not doing it. And many have also got so entangled in the distractions that they've actually come right off track as well. So there's a lot of mishmashy stuff going on, but to absolutely honor the body, because it's the body that's actually really taking on a lot of work, and the nervous system is being really fried at times. And I notice when there's some really high frequency stuff coming, and we might say solar flares, you know, it's like my muscles are so tense. It's like, oh my God, just like relax, I'll recognize that I'm like, oh, oh. And then what I was also recognizing is that that's what would happen if you were having an electrical charge go through your body, it's like, and that's what I could see, was that this is affecting our electrical field, so our nervous system is definitely getting hammered and overloaded, and we need to take care of ourselves, rest and recuperate, and lots of good water, that sort of thing, nature.
And what do you see in, like, because we are all co-creating it, as we know.
Yeah.
And there's been some things that I went, wow, that divine intervention was just like, holy crap. If that divine intervention hadn't happened, then wow, what a journey we'd be on right now. Like, whoa, we really dodged something there.
Yes.
But do you see a bit more chaos before we come into this beautiful new earth paradigm? As more people awaken in like 2025 and beyond, what do you feel or sense is sort of going to unfold in the next, say, 6 months or so?
Okay. I feel that my message recently has been about clean up. That's what I was saying about going into each relationship. Clean up within yourself the aspects of you that are now no longer needed to be playing out, like a null and void. Because we come in as a character into form, and we've played out a big part of the character, and now the character is sort of blending more in with the observer, the higher, the awareness, the more wise part of ourselves. And therefore that's sort of kicking more into gear, and we're making better decisions, better choices, living, more healthier, or whatever the thing might be that we're doing. So it's honoring that. But I also feel in this cleanup, that's what I keep getting. It's like, if you think of ourselves as being a superior computer, we are the ultimate, technology. And if we look at it being a holographic projection that we are, then it's like if you keep loading stuff onto your computer and you don't clean out your history and records and things, it's going to get full up and you're going to have less RAM and you just won't function. Well, that's sort of what's happening. It's forcing us to clean out and clear up. And so this is a preparation. I feel like we're really in, and I feel like I want to say the final stages, but I can't say that because we don't really know that. But that's the feeling I get. It's almost like there's a major leap coming. However that's going to play out, and however it's coming in, like I was saying about the ships meant to be coming in, well, they've been coming forever. And it's again another story being programmed in. So when we think about that subliminal type of messaging, then what's happening is we're actually creating it into being, because we're thinking about it. We're looking out. Is there a ship? Can I see a ship? Like that's what's happening. So of course it's going to appear for you, because that's how it works. So that sort of thing is definitely unwinding and coming in, and it's going to prove to people more about that we are multidimensional. We have, this isn't just the only planet. We're not the only beings, blah, blah, blah. We know all this, and we have been for many years. And I've seen and had in my awareness and in my life around me many ET, if I want to call them that, star brothers, sisters, in my healing rooms and on my tables, all sorts. But so it's been here always. I do feel that once we get, and I know the new year and things aren't really a timeline, it's just we've created those as well, but there is a feeling for me that we take a huge leap at some point very soon. And again, I can't really say when. When I try and feel into that, which I usually can, I'm not getting when. And I feel that is inevitable. It's not something we can stop now. We've got the momentum's going, and it's not, the ball's just going to get faster. And
buckle up, in other words, and go with the flow.
Absolutely. And I do believe that we've made such a change that everything that was holding that structure in there before has now sort of, well, been released. So it's almost like, so if we're putting energy into something and we're putting our life force into something, it grows, right?
Mm.
If we unplug ourselves from that, that will just dissolve away. There's nothing holding it into an effect. So it's like that. More and more people are unplugging, and this is going to start really fading away in many ways. There'll still be a lot of people playing a lot of that stuff out, but it's not going to be affecting, I feel, many of us at all. So it's like a splitting of the two worlds, and it's
Yeah,
very
the
hard to
splitting of the
explain that.
timeline. I've heard a few people
Yeah,
talk about the splitting of the timelines.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it definitely is. It's already doing that. I can feel that. I know that's happening. And I feel there'll be just a point in there where eventually there's actually like a letting go, and I feel like that's the event, or that's the time that we feel the, if you imagine a elastic band breaking, and then there's the, the quick. It's like that. I feel like we'll get the jolt, and we'll be moving into and with, I say, this new world, because I feel like there won't be any underlying energy that's trying to pull us back into anything. It's like all the threads are being cut from the old, and we're able to really move on, which I feel next year was going to be an architectural time where we were actually going to still be building into the new world. But I can feel that was this year, and I thought it was going to be next year as well. But what I'm seeing there now, that's shifted. So for me, we've moved at least another year, jumped. And this next year is going to be one where you actually see the structures in form now.
Fantastic.
It's sort of like that. So
That's nice. That's very positive, because a lot of us have been like hanging on for grim death, going, oh my God, when the hell? It's like this being on a roller coaster. And you're
yeah,
like, oh my God, when is this going to end?
yeah.
So,
There's no they haven't got the clutch anymore. It's like they've had to let go. So much has happened. They're not getting the traction like they used to. And I know I'm just seeing a lot of people putting posts up around this next pandemic or whatever thing, and it's like, oh my goodness, stop buying into that. Just leave it all alone. Walk away from it and get on with creating your world the way you really want it to be. Not that, because you have the power in doing that.
yeah.
Like, actually.
We are the conscious co-creators,
Yes.
manifesting and co-creating our own reality. So,
Yes.
and once people really embrace and understand that, it's kind of like, oh, okay. In that case, I don't want to create this shit anymore. I want to create something else. So use your
Exactly.
imagination and, really
Yeah,
let
what
open up and go with it. So
exactly. And it's
thank
looking,
you so much, beautiful lady. Do you need to wrap it up? I could talk to you forever, and it's gone over the hour. So, I really honor you. Thank you so much for being here on the podcast with us today. And if anybody wants to connect with Mandy, then as I said, her Mandy Horton NZ.com,
yeah,
and that link will be in the description wherever you're
beautiful.
watching this. And so you can go and get a hold of Mandy there and see what she's up to and watch her podcasts. And it's just such an exciting time. It's
It is.
unsettling, and it's, chaotic, and it's like sometimes, but it's also an exciting time to be here on the planet at such a massive time of transition and transformation.
Yeah.
And what's coming is truly wonderful and amazing. We just have to keep hanging on for the ride.
Yeah.
We've
Enjoy the
you've
ride.
come this far, people. Just
Yes.
take a little bit longer.
Exactly. And just enjoy it. Try to enjoy it. Change the program a bit so you're enjoying life and not worrying about all that other stuff over there, because yeah, it's not worth it.
It will do what it will do. We can't control it.
Exactly.
Mm.
Beautiful. Thank you so
No,
much.
love you so much, beautiful Mandy.
Love you too.
See ya.
Bye.